Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to the show. Anthony here.
And James here. Today we're going to talk about the state of cinema with a special guest, George Carmi, who is what we call a filmfluencer. He's pretty big on TikTok these days. We love his points and his opinions. What's going on, George?
What's going on, guys? Thank you for having me. I've never heard Filmfluencer, so kind of like that.
We coined it.
Yeah, we should trademark that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because we technically are filmfluencers, even though we're a podcast first and foremost. But filmfluencing is how we got the following and everything with TikTok and Instagram. And you've been killing TikTok the last 6 months. You've grown so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a big grow over the last 6 months, but you guys as well. I mean, you guys are all over the place. YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. You guys are growing like crazy as well.
Thanks for the plug, man.
Yeah. Everyone listening is like, where can I find Raiders of the Lost podcast? Yeah, well, we've been hitting it hard, and TikTok was really the key for us, and that's why we really want to have like more TikTok movie people on that have solid followings, because it's really kind of like the future of marketing and entertainment in it. And there's such a huge movie culture on TikTok. Some of it's very toxic, just like Twitter and stuff like that, but still a lot of it's very positive and people just loving film. And I think it's really a great place to go if you love film. And I think a lot of your opinions are similar to ours, and your takes on DC, Marvel, Star Wars, all sorts of movies. It's really interesting. We're a fan of your content, bud.
Yeah, I love how you're not really that filtered, and you like call it like it is. You don't really care what people think about you. I like that.
You're East Coast, and we're from East Coast too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're from New York, so I mean that is what it is. Just kidding. Tell us about your TikTok journey and the movie content, and what made you fall in love with movies. Some of your favorite movies in general, directors, all that stuff.
Yeah, when did your TikTok start growing?
It's you know what, at the start of it all, I had no intention on kind of growing on TikTok. I was late to even downloading TikTok. I don't think I downloaded TikTok until the middle of 2020, maybe. So I was way late to that. I was kind of a TikTok hater at first. And then I downloaded TikTok because I saw all these creators blowing up, and I wanted to see what it was about. And even at first, it was like, I was just posting one TikTok a week, and it wasn't even movie related. It was just me being like stupid, thinking I was funny, posting some dumb TikTok. And then I posted one TikTok stitching a video asking what I thought the best year in movies was. And that video blew up. It got about 3 million views in like 2 weeks. My follower count went from like 15 to like 3,000. And I was like, whoa, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking about movies and having people listen to me, whether it's the ridiculous amount of hate I get in my comments or a bunch of people enjoying what I say. And I'm sure you guys see the hate as well, but it's there all the time. I love your Instagram highlight. That's all the hate that you post.
It's so good.
I was going through that the other day, just chuckling.
It's only the cream of the crop. The best ones.
The funniest ones. But yeah, and then once that TikTok blew up, I just started posting more consistently about movies, whether it be rankings, reviews, anything, talking about movie news, those selection videos that people always tag me in. And I've just seen a consistent, uptick in following, and the community around it has been fantastic. I've met other content creators, filmfluencers, if you would, over TikTok, and it's been fantastic. But in terms of like movies, that's been since I was from a young age. I was always watching movies, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. I got into those early, and I kind of fell in love with the art of filmmaking from a young age. And that's just something I've carried. And to be able to talk about it on TikTok to, my 160,000 followers has been fantastic, because I can bother a lot of people with how often I talk about movies, And I'm sure you guys would feel the same way. So TikTok is kind of this like perfect outlet for me to just talk, and whoever wants to listen, you can listen. If you don't want to listen, drop a hate comment and keep scrolling, something like that. So it's been fun. It's been a fun little, 8 month journey.
Are you Italian?
I'm Greek.
Oh, you're Greek. So last name. I was like, it's either Italian or Greek, and it's basically the same thing. And you talk with your hands. I like it. But just do me a favor. Quit smashing your desk like there's a mosquito on it.
My fault.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry.
Need that clean audio.
Just busting your chops. He's like, well, yeah, I love movies and all this.
I was waiting for you to say something. Yeah.
He usually knows when I'm a bunch of roasted, buddy.
My hands up here the whole time.
But no, man, congratulations on your following. You have super high engagement, and I think people really enjoy your unfiltered takes. Some of them are very spicy hot, and some of them are really interesting and similar takes to us. And I really like your content. It's super fun because we're from the East Coast. I used to do a bunch of like silly TikTok videos, but like with the experience I had on TikTok, that was the key to our show growing. And that's what I was trying. I was on in 2018 doing that stuff. And I was like, Anthony, I'm telling you, when we started this movie podcast, TikTok is the key. And Anthony's like, what is a TikTok?
Accurate.
So you got in just in time, I think, too, like right around 2020, because that's when everything started booming, whether it be TikTok and social media for entertainment and all like these new apps, but also podcasts in general are booming. So now people are like making careers out of being TikTokers, which is really interesting. And it was always just a marketing tool for us, but it's been very helpful.
Yeah, I never, but until you really got me into it, I didn't realize it was more than just people dancing.
Yeah.
That's why it took me so long to download it. I always thought it was just people dancing too. I didn't realize people went on TikTok to talk about anything else, you know?
Well, there's a lot of pros and cons to it, but I think there are really strong communities for any kind of thing you're interested in, whether it be movies, TV, fitness, food. Like, it's all there, and TikTok's here to stay. And the thing with TikTok is they've done such a great job monetizing it for creators, and they just announced last week that all content creators, if you have over 100,000 followers, we've already been making money off it, but now TikTok's going to split 50% of their profits and revenue with their creators that are over 100,000 followers. So like, that's huge news for people who are creators on TikTok. It's going to keep people on the app, and it's going to make sure the app thrives and survives for the next 5 to 10 years, probably.
And their most valuable content creators going to keep creating on the app. They want to keep people on it. So, because they changed the monetization, we started making less on TikTok, much less than we used to. And now that's very enticing for us to keep hitting TikTok even harder. I want that TikTok money.
I wonder when it's going to go through, because we were making some good TikTok money like a year and a half ago. Yeah. And they started hitting us with shadow bans and stuff. It is what it is.
But we did find an amazing film community, and we interact with mostly on our Discord we have now. We've built a great community of film lovers on our Discord, and it's so much fun that all these people, they would just like start out commenting and following on our TikToks, and now they're friends of ours, and we chat with them daily, and it's become like a community of people because we started out on that app.
Yeah, we wouldn't be where we are without it. Yeah. And for you, what are like probably your most positive and favorite parts about being on TikTok and TikTok in general?
I mean, branching off of what you guys just mentioned, I mean, I've met so many fantastic content creators who I chat with daily, and, you know, they interact on my videos, I interact on their videos. If we ever want to spark up a conversation outside, you know, they know to hit me up on Instagram in my DMs. So that's been one of the great pleasures of TikTok, is just meeting you guys, meeting a bunch of other people that share this same passion for film that I do, and just being able to chat with them and have like a respectable conversation with them. And then also just the support I'm getting from everyone, you know, not even just the content creators that I'm becoming friends with, but, you know, ever since I linked my Instagram to my TikTok, my, you know, direct messages have been out of control, with people just going out of their way to just, you know, thank me for being this film content creator, talking about something they also love. And that's just been, you know, I do TikTok kind of for myself, just because I like to talk about movies. So to see that other people are kind of attaching to my content and, you know, taking it to heart, I love that. I love seeing people appreciate what I'm doing on TikTok, and not only appreciate it, but finding enjoyment out.
Before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost podcast, besides using our coupon codes, is to become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast, where you get awesome perks like personalized videos, Patreon shoutouts on the show, weekly bonus episodes that all patrons have access to, as well as monthly Zoom chats and calls if you're on the $10 and $25 tier patrons also have access to our Discord, as well as our $100 tier patron chosen ones. And not only do we have our chats on there that we interact with every day, we have our watch parties on our Discord. We also just launched our podcast Masterclass online course last year. So for anyone who wants to start a podcast or improve their current podcast, our 22 chapter 46 video lesson course will give you all of the secrets behind the scenes of our show. The link is podcastmasterclass.teachable.com, or go to our website, RaidersOfTheLostPodcast.com. It's right there on the homepage. You can also see all of our content, sources, for merch, custom movie posters. Follow, subscribe wherever you're listening. Thanks for tuning in around the world. Hit the notification bells. Leave the 5-star reviews. All right, let's get into the movie stuff.
All right,
we got a bunch of topics laid out. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but I think it's just going to be fun to talk about the state of cinema in general and everything that's been going on, whether it be streaming versus theaters, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney's takeover, the corporate takeover of studios, like Amazon buying MGM and properties like Lord of the Rings, and Disney buying Pixar, 20th Century Studios, Marvel, freaking everything on the planet, young directors, all sorts of stuff. So I figure let's start off with the first thing. Do you guys think movie theaters are officially back?
Oh yeah, I've been saying they were never going to go away. I've always been saying that because the movie theaters are, first of all, the best place to experience a film in a packed theater. The lights go down. You're surrounded by 200 strangers, and it's like going to a live concert of your favorite musician. It's not the same as listening to it on your phone with your headphones on. It's not comparable to watching a movie at home on your couch. That might be comfortable, but you can look at your phone all the time. You can interact with other people who are in the room with you. So there are plenty of things that can avert your attention away from a movie, whereas experiencing a film in a theater with a crowd is the best way to experience a film, and people love it. They've brought event movies back after COVID, thanks to things like Marvel and big picture movies. Like Spider-Man was a big step up for us after the pandemic to get people to go to theaters again, to relive the experience of like seeing a huge movie on a big screen with a crowd of people, how much fun that is. And also for the studios, they tested out streaming, rentals. It did not work out. The real money is in theaters. That's where they're gonna make the bang for their buck. So they want to commit to theaters.
Absolutely agree. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When this pandemic hit, I was nervous when theaters closed because we saw this massive boom of streaming at home. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people around me, they started to get a little too comfortable not having to go to the theater. And, as someone who adores the movie going experience, that's something I did not want to see happen because, like you said, the movie going experience is phenomenal. And Spider-Man No Way Home is the perfect example of just sitting there with the crowd, leaving everything outside of the theater out, escaping reality, and just enjoying a movie for 2.5 hours with a group of people that also love film. So yes, cinema, movies, they're back. Movie theaters are back. Big blockbusters are back. And I love it. I love seeing people flock to the theaters to watch these movies, whether it's a large blockbuster or a small indie film. I think the movie going experience, to me, is just one of the great joys of the world. And to see it back in full throttle, seeing these large blockbusters kind of take over the world, I love it. I absolutely love it.
One of the great joys of the world. I love that. I completely agree because I was so scared. We were scared like a year and a half ago. We did an episode. It was called Streaming versus Theaters. And this is like middle of the pandemic and everything is still shut down. We were like, our theater is going to make it out of this. And ArcLight in California went out of business. A great movie theater chain out here that was gone. We used to go every week. That was our spot. Great theater. That's gone. But thankfully, all these diamond holding apes kept AMC alive. So we still got AMC thanks to Reddit. Thank you, Reddit.
Thanks to you.
And yeah, I'm a shareholder still.
Your 12 shares kept AMC afloat.
I have more than 12 shares. Don't worry.
He's got 17.
I got more than 12. No, it's like 40. Anyways, bought at $9. Anyways, but we were so scared, and we actually went and saw Tenet. When it came out in June 2020, we saw that in San Diego. We had to drive to San Diego from Los Angeles because everywhere in California was shut down, but San Diego has their own rules. It was the only theater open pretty much in California, or in the region we were in, Southern California. And so we drove there to see it. So like me and Anthony, we love the film going experience. It's one of the main reasons why we fell in love with film, is going to the movies so often as kids and growing up. And that movie still did pretty well, but then after that, we were so worried with all the streaming. Then Wonder Woman, they did the experiment with Warner Brothers where they did Wonder Woman was released digitally at home at the same day it came out in theaters on Christmas Day.
Yeah, they just released it in a couple of theaters.
Yeah, but it's still technically like the same day test.
But it wasn't a wide release.
Didn't make that much money at all. They probably lost at least $100 million easily on that. And then, I think the first movie that we saw for real coming back to the theaters was The Green Knight, I think. And that was a great experience. It was a packed cinema, and it was June, I think, 2021. Spring or like April, May 2021. Awesome experience to just be there with a fully packed crowd, everyone experiencing this amazing film with The Green Knight. And then And then after that, we still had the talks of like, is it going to survive? Is it going to keep going? But like Anthony was saying, movies like No Way Home making $1.8 billion at the global box office. And then I think it broke the domestic box office record. For United States. It was like second place behind Avatar. It's just amazing news for the cinema because, you know, people will intake movies how they want. If they want to stay at home, it's teach their own nowadays. Then you have that option to wait for it to come out on streaming. It's your life. You live it how you want. But it's so important to have movie theaters open for people to go to see movies, because if we don't have movie theaters, movies that we know them today and that we love them and have loved them our whole lives will eventually become extinct.
And also, the studios tried to test out rental numbers, and so Black Widow was an example where it made a fraction of what it would have made if it was just in theaters. And then also DreamWorks and Pixar tested out rental releases. Also, their animated films made about like $150 to $200 million from rentals. But these are movies that would pull in $700 million, $800 million if in theaters. So they realized, oh, we're losing out on probably $500 million per movie if we just do rentals on streaming. So we have to go back to theaters.
So I'm just so happy that 2022 has been a great year for the box office and these movies come back. So I'm very excited for going forward with theaters. So I think we answered the question that they're back.
They're back.
They're definitely back.
All right, how about we move on?
I'm thinking I'm back.
Let's move on. Who do you guys think are some of the best young directors working today? I'm like people who have like 3 or less films under their belt.
3 or less.
So I think I'm going, for me, it's going to be like Damien Chazelle, Jordan Peele, Greta Gerwig, Ari Aster, and then also I will throw in Robert Eggers in there as well, just off the top of my head.
That's a great list. I throw all of them on my list as well, for sure. Absolutely. And especially with Ari Aster and Robert Eggers with the horror genre, really helping revitalize and pump new life into that genre.
Absolutely.
Very important, yeah.
What about you, George? George, what do you think?
I have all of those people on my list. I'll also toss in Olivia Wilde and Edison Oda, and even John Krasinski. What he's done with 2 Quiet Place movies has been fantastic. But we have, I think Damien Chazelle is leading this pack. What this man has done in 3 films, I think, has been sublime. But everyone you have mentioned, we're in good hands for the future.
Yeah. What do you think's Damien's best film?
Oh, Whiplash.
Oh yeah, nice.
Whiplash.
I like that.
Yeah,
Whiplash.
I think Whiplash is one of the best acted movies I've ever seen. One of the greatest screenplays I've ever seen. It is his masterpiece right now. It is, not to say La La Land and First Man aren't 2 phenomenal films, because they are. To have a first 3 film in a career as good as First Man, Whiplash, and La La Land, he's already cementing himself as one of the greatest of this decade, of this century, and of all time.
Absolutely.
I would put I put Whiplash 1, First Man 2, and then La La Land 3 for him.
No,
So
yeah,
I think
like
Whiplash is his best movie.
I think Whiplash might be his best movie, maybe, but my favorite is First Man. I think that's a criminally underrated movie, and it's so damn good. This guy is such a talented director, and the scope he's going with his films have just gotten bigger and bigger. And honestly, if people don't think we've been to the moon, like, just watch First Man, even though it's a movie. Like, I showed it to Anthony, and I was like, so you think we've been to the moon? He's like, yeah, we probably been. Even though it's not like, it's a movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, yeah. We went to the moon, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. But like what he's done in just 3 movies is absolutely sensational. And then also Greta Gerwig, she's only done 2, but I'm very excited for Barbie to come out.
She's also written 4 other movies that are very good, too. So
And then
she's
also,
a great writer.
And Ari Aster, we have Disappointment Boulevard coming out this year starring Joaquin Phoenix. So cannot wait to see his 3rd film. And then obviously with Jordan Peele, we have Nope coming out this summer, which also looks incredible. Shot that on IMAX cameras. Got to plug it because we love it so much. And then so damn excited for that. I can't wait.
Yeah, we got a great new generation. I think Jordan Peele might be my favorite out of all of them, because his films so far have been so unique and original, and nothing like them before has been made.
You're right. And so with him, Eggers, and Ari Aster, you're right. We're in terrific hands, because I think we've had a horror boom for about like the last 10 years. Not even just them, but films like It Follows, The Babadook. I mean, so many that have just been like changing the genre of horror and making it contemporary and modernized. But also, I think we might even be approaching that 70s era of just quality of stories and storytelling in general. I mean, obviously movies like Rosemary's Baby and Jaws, they're like unbeatable, but like we're kind of around that realm of how high quality these films are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They've become some of the best of the years of each year. Mm-hmm. Each one of the films, the quality and the high caliber artistic craftsmanship put into each film.
Yeah, completely agree.
completely.
Seeing horror boom the way it has, and not only is it just like jump scare horror, but you have Jordan Peele psychological horror. Ari Aster and Robert Eggers are giving us these haunting demonic visuals in their movies. It's not just the classic jump scare that we saw in Halloween and Jason. And then you even have these fantastic original scripts, like you mentioned, It Follows, The Babadook. I'm going to throw Malignant on that list, and even Hulu's 2022's Fresh, which I thoroughly enjoyed. We're seeing some fantastic original scripts in the horror genre. And then a lot of these new and upcoming filmmakers, their range is unreal. You know, going back to Damien Chazelle, he made one of the greatest musicals of all time, a fantastic large-scale space drama. I mean, he's all over the place. Even Olivia Wilde, her first directorial debut in Booksmart, a phenomenal coming-of-age story. And now you watch this trailer to Don't Worry, Darling, and it's a completely separate psychological genre, pulling themes from, you know, Truman Show and Black Swan. So seeing all these directors in various genres, and not only are they making movies, they're making really good movies too. It's fantastic. And trust me, we still have years with Christopher Nolan, Denis, Scorsese, Spielberg. They're not done making movies, but when they're long gone, we are in fantastic hands.
And someone who I think is probably my favorite younger director, he's a little older than all of them, but he hasn't made that many films, is Cary Fukunaga.
Yeah.
Because he did True Detective, he did the newest Bond, he's done a couple of UK productions as well.
He did that series with Jonah Hill and Emma Stone
that
too.
one as well. I think he is really probably the best director of his generation working right now. If we're counting someone like in their early 40s, late 30s,
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
really dynamic and amazing.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
There's so many. We're definitely in good hands, like you guys said. All right.
And if we're counting one more, if we're counting that, you know, age, I'm going to add Mike Flanagan to this list as well.
Yeah, the horror guy.
Haunting of Hill House, one of my favorite limited series. Midnight Mass was a phenomenal follow-up.
He did Dr. Sleep, right?
Yes.
Or is that, yeah, gotcha.
I love Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
I love
That
it.
was a great,
I wanted to hate it.
horror movie.
I wanted to hate it. I saw the trailer. I was like, I can't believe they're doing this. And then I watched it. I was like, whoa, this movie's great. Rebecca Ferguson was such an awesome villain, and Ewan just is a great lead.
I
It's awesome.
like Malignant too. Like, so that's James Wan's made a bunch of movies, but Malignant was one of those horror movies that, I mean, with the opening of that, we did a review of it. The first like 20 minutes, like, should we leave? This movie's just like not there. The opening 20 minutes, I like the first minute and a half, but then it's just very slow pace, bad script, well, dialogue and stuff like
Bad
that.
acting
is suspect. But then you get a great reveal. You get rewarded with an incredible new kind of monster you've never seen in a movie before. So I think that was such a fun experience to see in a movie theater for us. The third act of that movie alone was totally worth it for sure.
That entire last shootout in the police station, that Matrix-esque
Yeah.
How many people died?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like Equilibrium.
I swear, like, that is one of the movie scenes where I wish I could just rewatch that for the first time, because I had such a fun time with that one scene and that whole movie. But that one scene, it came out of nowhere because you're watching this creepy horror movie, and next thing you know, you're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's friggin' insane.
And Fresh was pretty cool. I think the idea for Fresh, that movie, was really great concept. And a spoiler warning, if you haven't seen the movie, I would just fast forward like about 15, 30 seconds. I think I did a review of it, and I thought overall it was very solid, but I think the way they should have ended it, and I think would have been great, is if they ate him. Like, how cool would that have been? That would have been a sick ending.
That would have
sign me up, man.
Because I think the third act was
That's like how Cronenberg
it
would
kind
have
of
done
like
it.
tapered out for me. Like the third, I was like, oh, is that really how they're gonna end it? But I was like, they should have just ate him while he was watching them eat him. Like, that would have been sick. That's how I would have done it.
Funny.
But it was a cool idea.
Yeah, that movie, I watched that movie with my girlfriend, and neither of us had seen the trailer. We had no idea what it was about. All I saw before she pressed play was the genre, and it said horror thriller. And, you know, we're watching this movie, and the first 20, 25 minutes is like this, you know, nice rom-com, like an enjoyable film. And me and my girlfriend just kept looking at each other, and I'm like, I swear I saw horror thriller. Like, that's what I saw. And then that title card comes up 30 minutes in, and the whole thing changes. And it was brilliant. It was a brilliant original film, just like Malignant.
It's really I like people are being very experimental with like the opening credits starting at 30 minutes in. I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie.
I mean, let's hype up Morbius's opening credits.
Oh yeah, Morbius opening credits.
They were the amazing.
Best part of the movie.
They were amazing. I love the credits were rolling. I'm like, these credits are fucking great.
Sure, yeah, we even like, whoa, Anthony's like, wow, these credits are really good.
Who designed these credits? They're amazing.
Did you like?
And then the rest of the movie happened, and you
then
forgot
the movie
about
started.
the credits.
Yeah. Then
What's it called? It's called Mid BS now, or Mo BS. Oh man! All right. Rest of 2022, we have so many movies coming on. I mean, we've already had a great year, but what are you guys most anticipated for releases for the rest of the year?
So I have Top Gun
as
Maverick, my number one, and then I have Christian Bale's next two films, Amsterdam with David O. Russell, with John David Washington and Margot Robbie, and then his new film with Scott Cooper, The Pale Blue Eye, in which he's a Victorian detective who's partnering up with Edgar Allan Poe, investigating a series of murders, which is like, I love Christian Bale in a period piece. Sign me up. Victorian era, hell yes. And his collaborations with Scott Cooper have been a couple of the most underrated films of the last several years. Out of the Furnace is, I think, a really exceptional film they made together. And Hostiles is another one. It's a very dark, very grim film, so it's hard to watch, but they're both really powerful films. He's an excellent director.
Yeah, I agree. Out of the Furnace is such an underrated movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, put that on your watch list ASAP.
But Christian's he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, you're right. This is like the biggest year he's ever had, probably.
Yeah, could be.
What about you, George? What are you excited for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ditto everything you just said. Christian Bale is my absolute favorite actor. A quick moment of silence for Across the Spider-Verse. That was my most anticipated movie of the year. So when that news broke of its delay, I was heartbroken. But to add to your list, I'm going to add David Fincher's The Killer.
Yes.
It's hard not to be excited for a David Fincher film. I mean, this man is an absolute living legend, and he has made one bad film in Alien 3. And several movies.
But that's not his fault. That movie's not his fault. That's all
fair.
studio.
Yeah. That is fair.
Also, The Killer is written by the same writer as Seven.
Yeah, I did not know that. I knew it's based on I believe a French graphic novel, which I need to do more research on, and I need to buy and read now because I am intrigued with anything David Fincher does. Don't worry, darling. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Olivia Wilde is one of the better up-and-coming directors, and that trailer just absolutely floored me. Darren Aronofsky coming out with The Whale with Brendan Fraser. Having a little comeback, which I absolutely love.
Do you know what that movie's about?
Not really.
It's about a man who eats himself to death.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Now I get why Orson Welles ate his fat ass to death. Just kidding. Super bad.
Yeah, I got one more. I mean, Damien Chazelle's Babylon.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't overlook that. Early screenings came out. I've heard the word masterpiece being thrown around, which I think people throw that word around a little too loosely nowadays. But when it comes to Damien Chazelle, I feel like we have to trust that word a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that movie because it's about silent film era as it moved to talkies and probably the effect it has on those stars, as a lot of them didn't make that transition. A lot of audiences heard their voices. They're like, that's what they sound like. And then their careers like ended on the spot. So I don't know if that's what the plot's going to be like, but the cast is absurd for that movie. I mean, it's Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, our boy Tobey Maguire's playing Charlie Chaplin, which is very cool. So super excited for that. We also have Knives Out 2 coming out.
Oh, yeah.
So let's not forget about that. And then we have, I think, 2 Pinocchio movies coming out this year. At least one, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is going to be the stop-motion animated one. I'm very excited for that because he is amazing, one of our favorite filmmakers of all time. We also have Hocus Pocus 2 coming out.
Really?
Just kidding. It is. But we have Avatar 2.
Oh,
The Way
yeah,
of the Water.
Avatar 2.
That's coming out Christmas Day, I believe.
How'd you guys like the trailer?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting to see it in theaters.
It's insane.
I don't want to look at it online.
They didn't give anything away. It looks stunning and beautiful, and like he's gonna top. I think he might top himself.
Yeah, because we didn't see it when we saw Doctor Strange. They didn't have trailers before the movie, so I'm waiting to see that in a theater for the first time. I don't want to spoil it on YouTube. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever comes out also in November, so looking forward to that as well. Black Adam, that's coming out this year, right? Or did that get pushed back?
That got pushed back.
Yeah,
so that got pushed back.
Yeah, all of the DC slate got pushed back.
That's right. And then
Right after they released that
how old
trailer.
is that article you're reading?
I don't know. Bullet Train with Brad Pitt looks really fun.
That looks fun.
That looks really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Obviously, Nope, which we brought up with Jordan Peele, and Elvis looks pretty good. I think.
Yeah, Elvis looks good.
I think that looks like his best movie he's made in a while. And then obviously Lightyear by Pixar's coming out this year. That looks great. And Jurassic World Dominion, it's going to be velociraptors and motorcycles. Let's go. Sign me up. And I think we just have a great rest of the year coming up.
Speaking of the rest of the year, what do you guys think the front runners will for Best Picture will be? I think Babylon might end up being the front runner for Best Picture, and then maybe Amsterdam from David O. Russell will be a competitive one for sure.
Right now I'm putting my money on Babylon. I haven't even seen a trailer or anything, but I just think, like as George has been saying about Damon Chazelle, he's just one of the best out there.
You can also tell from the release date. It's a late release date.
Yeah, I have Babylon atop my list of Best Picture frontrunners right now, and we've also surprisingly haven't mentioned Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh
yet.
yeah, that's this year. Oh man, I forgot.
I don't know how it took us this long to mention, but
that's Best Picture right there.
Anytime he is just a shoo-in for Best Picture. Same thing with Spielberg. We have The Fabelmans coming out, which has been described as his Belfast, and between West Side Story, The Post, Lincoln. This man is just
still on fire.
He's still on fire. Anytime he makes a movie, just shoot him in for the Oscar.
The Post is great. The Post is awesome. It's in Bridge of Spies he just did before that too. It was really good.
It's honestly absurd how many movies that man has made in his career. Not only just how many movies, but how many great movies he's made.
Like the Michael Jordan of basketball.
It's absolutely insane. When you look at his filmography, like how does a human being do that? And like just from the sheer volume of great iconic films, he has to be on everybody's top director list, top 10 all time.
He might be the most talented director of all time because I gotta keep watching his movies, but I just watched World of Worlds the other night, and I don't love where the story ended up going in terms of the screenplay, but his directing is so phenomenal, and the way he moves his camera and blocks his scenes out, it's just nobody does it the way he does it even to this day. And The Post has so many of those great famous Spielberg long takes that are weaving through rooms, going from character to character, not cutting, kind of disguising it from the audience that it's a long take, but it's really been they haven't cut for like 3 minutes straight, and it's all over that movie and Bridge of Spies too. It's just the guy is just amazing at what he does.
I would love to see him go back to like just doing a horror movie. That'd be really cool. Because obviously Jaws. You could even say War of the Worlds is a horror movie.
Well, he directed Poltergeist.
Yeah,
he's not credited, but he directed.
He made that true. So I would love to see him go back to those like horror roots, because even E.T. at some points is kind of a horror movie. Close Encounters is kind of a horror movie at times. So like he's been doing a lot of these like bigger, like these other budget, like
Temple of Doom is a horror movie.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a horror movie.
That is a graphic movie.
That was a PG movie, and kids saw people getting their hearts cut out of their chests.
That's the movie that changed the ratings,
the MPA ratings. Parents were complaining, saying their kids were like horrified watching this movie because it was PG.
Honestly, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, the guys are getting thrown into lava pits, like lowered into the lava.
It's pretty messed up.
It's
I love it though. It's so great.
It's awesome. That movie's so dark because he was going through a divorce. Him and
George at the same time.
And so they made it just like they were angry, and so they just made a violent horror movie.
Screw it.
I love it.
Like I want to do an episode on Spielberg, but it's gonna be like 17 hours.
It's not only how many films he's had and how consistent he's been, but he's also just widely across every genre, which is just, I think, the most impressive. I have a TikTok video coming soon, so spoiler alert. He is my greatest filmmaker of all time. I have him number one on my list. I think what he's been able to do in the 7 decades he's been working has been unmatched. Obviously, Denis, Christopher Nolan, Scorsese, what Alfred Hitchcock, what all these guys are able to do has been nothing short of spectacular. But Spielberg's consistency, range across genres is just phenomenal to me. It's something I don't think we'll ever see topped again.
All right, I want to hear everyone's most underrated Spielberg movie. I'm picking Minority Report as his most underrated movie.
Spielberg
Minority
movie.
Report. It's unbelievable.
That's a really good pick because I love that movie. We used to watch it all the time when we were kids.
Yeah, we did. It's sensational.
And because like when you think of Spielberg, most people don't even think of that in their top 10 of Spielberg movies.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so underrated.
And like I always like to say Catch Me If You Can for most underrated movies, because when you think of Spielberg, you think of like Jurassic Park, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, movies like that. And I think like Catch Me If You Can kind of gets brushed under the rug, even though I think it got nominated.
I'm not putting it because it did get nominations at the Oscars.
Did get nominations.
Yeah,
all right.
It got some, but Minority Report I don't think got any nominations.
Let me pull up his filmography because
George, you got one? An underrated Spielberg movie?
Yeah, it's to me, this is a criminally underrated movie. It is a personal top 10 favorite film of all time for me, and that's Ready Player One.
Oh, nice.
that
Good
is
pick.
such a good movie.
Good pick.
I can watch that movie nonstop. The score and the soundtrack, the callbacks to cinema and various Easter eggs. It brings out the film lover in me. It brings out the child in me. I absolutely love Ready Player One. I adore that movie so much.
We put on this movie a few months ago, the Denzel one. I can't remember what it's called, with Jared Leto, and we were 20 minutes into the movie and it was so bad. We were like, we can't keep sitting through this.
Oh, that was
The Little Things.
The little things.
Yeah. And so we turned it off. We put Ready Player One on to like cleanse our palate, and we were like, this is awesome. way better.
It was amazing.
Oh, this is how you direct a movie. Okay, thanks.
Let's see. Oh, underrated Spielberg movie, The Terminal.
Terminal's great.
That's a really great underrated Spielberg movie.
very,
for sure.
very charming, very romantic, very funny.
I'll select that because everything else is just most of it's amazing. But like for movies, maybe not a lot of people have seen. The Terminal is probably a good one for underrated. But
What a great pick.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. But man, I love that guy to death.
Yeah.
Raiders of the Lost podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped.com, the leaders in men's grooming, who are turning your shower routine into your favorite part of the day with their new Ultra Premium collection. Also, get their Lawnmower 4.0 groomer because you can use it in the ocean. It is waterproof, so use it in the shower anytime. It's got a built-in light, waterproof, skin-safe, 7,000 RPM motor. We've been telling you to get it for about a year now, so get on that Lawnmower 4.0 groomer and shave yourself at the bottom of the ocean. The Ultra Premium collection, on the other hand, is the ultimate wet goods bundle. It's got deodorants, yes, actual armpit deodorant from Manscaped that me and Anthony are now obsessed with. It's the only deodorant we'll ever use. Body wash, which we're body wash, body wash, which we use every day, obviously. 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, hydrating body spray, and a free set of Manscaped lip balm. Head on over to manscaped.com. Use our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout. You'll get 20% off and free shipping on your entire order today.
And you know our other amazing sponsor, movieposters.com. Use our special promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today. They have a gigantic selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable. Everything from a Marvel movie to a Pixar movie to your favorite classic. They got you covered. As well as a selection of all sorts of sizes, framing, and backlighting. Whatever your poster needs are, they got you covered. Again, head on over to movieposters.com and use our special promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today.
All right, how about we head on into our intermission, and
Let's do it.
then we'll get back to our episode on talking about all this stuff. So George is going to participate as well. He got some questions as well. So let's everyone pull up your intermission stuff. Hopefully Anthony didn't log into the Google account and look at my answers.
I didn't look at your answers.
All right.
I don't need to. I get playwright on my own.
We'll begin with the movie quote competition. I'll go first, fellas. Ready?
Ready.
I swear to God, if I so much as feel someone behind me, there's no measure of how fast and how hard I will bring this fight to your doorstep.
That's boring.
Give him a second.
Oh, sorry.
Fucking guy. This guy. You're acting like we don't have a guest on the show. It's born. George is like, I didn't even hear it.
Sorry, I got excited.
I was honestly, I was too enthralled by your fantastic.
It was great.
Thanks, of delivering that quote.
Your face, like you were into it.
I got in character, man. Got in character. Thanks,
I always thought Matt Damon was more of a Streisand, but I think he's really rocking the shin in this one.
Sick reference, bro. Everybody knows your references are out of control.
All right, sorry I spoiled that one.
So yeah, Anthony, say yours. We'll take a second. All right, Jesus.
Okay. Here's my quote. You want to know how I did it? This is how I did it, Anton. I never saved anything for the swim back.
Oh, good quote. I love this movie.
I'm at a loss. I'll be honest.
That is Gattaca.
Correctamundo.
Ethan Hawke's character says that to his brother.
He beats his brother. Yeah, he beats his brother by swimming out further offshore than him, even though his brother's supposed to be physically superior than him. And then he realized, then that's how he beat him, by not wanting to make it back, just by going as far as he could.
You ever seen it?
I was about to say that movie is on my Letterboxd watch.
Oh, bro!
Dude,
watch it tonight.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's great.
I think that's one of the most underrated movies ever made.
Yeah, Andrew Nichols made it. He's an excellent director.
Yeah, people. I posted a video kind of outing myself recently on movies I had never seen, and the first two that I wrote was one, I've never seen any Mission Impossible movie, which I know.
What? George, what the heck, man?
I know.
All right, sorry, this podcast is over. Sorry, man, we're kicking you off.
That's the reaction I always get.
Are you effing kidding me?
To make it even worse, I've never seen any Star Trek movie.
That's no one's seen any Star Trek movies.
But yeah, to end that video, I screen recorded my watch list, and that movie was one of them. And my comments blew up like, "You have to watch! Like, stop what you're doing right now. Watch this movie. Watch Mission Impossible." I had like Almost Famous on that list. I had a bunch of movies. I completely outed myself. There was like 100 movies on my watch list that, as a filmfluencer, you would expect me to have watched by now.
Yeah. Bro, okay, Gattaca is one of my all-time favorite science fiction movies. It's incredible. And then
Mission Impossible,
dude,
they're all, except for number 2 and 3, they're good, but they're not great. But there are 4 great movies in the Mission Impossible franchise. 1, 4, 5, 6. All are really terrific action movies. And the newest one, Fallout, the last one that came out, it's one of my favorite big action movies of all time. It's like top 3, might be my favorite.
It might be the best
movie.
action movie ever made.
It could
honestly.
be the best
really
ever made.
We're not
it's
even
really unbelievable.
saying that in a biased way. It's just like, it's so incredible. It really is.
It's I promise. Because 8 and 9 or 7 and 8 are coming out.
Next year,
right?
Yeah,
next year and the year after.
I will be caught up by then. I'll start very soon.
Bro, you better be caught up by like next week, man. Anthony ran off the set. He's like, "Where'd you find this guy, dude?"
No. It's so good.
I think
there's
really
a lot of movies out there.
And if you like sci-fi, if you like space, but not necessarily, it's a kind of a space movie. Gattaca, it has to do with space, but it's more about like social science fiction kind of elements. And if you like science fiction in general, it's really great concept, really great film, and it's relevant today.
That's I get even more surprising. Science fiction is my absolute favorite genre of.
Yeah, NASA scientists actually dubbed it the most accurate science-based movie of all time
because it's going to be real someday. Yeah. All right, well, we got to continue the movie cult competition.
It's not a Gattaca podcast.
All right, George, what's your quote?
I think it's a decently difficult quote. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yeah, Dr. Strangelove. Yeah,
it's too easy. I thought that'd be a nice curveball.
I just knocked that out.
We were just bowling. We were being polite, like, "Oh, you go.
You go." All right, guess this movie release year, fellas. Dogma.
Good one. George, you can go first.
I don't have remotely a clue.
Make a guess, man. Make a guess.
I'm going to say 2002.
Anthony?
I'm going to go with... Hold on, what year did Good Will Hunting come out? 1999.
Yeah.
Yes!
There you go. You got it. Nice job.
Thanks.
Matt Damon today. Yeah. My guy. One of my guys.
Well, I went Ethan Hawke today. Guess this movie release year, Before Sunrise.
I'm going to go... Fuck. Those
are mid-2000s, that whole trilogy.
It's got to be 2001 for me.
George?
I'm going to say 2000.
1996.
Oh, man.
The first one's old. Yeah,
you're right. Number 2 came out. Think about it. They were so young in that movie.
Yeah,
right.
They were babyface.
Yeah. All right, George.
I picked this one because it actually stunned me. I thought this was a way more recent, and by recent I mean not too recent, but I didn't realize it was this old of a movie. Dead Poets Society.
I got it.
1986. Same year as Top Gun.
89.
89 is correct.
Wow, you were super confident.
Well, I just looked up Ethan Hawke's filmography from mine, so I kind of cheated.
All right.
Yeah, I for some reason thought that was a mid to late 90s
It
movie.
feels like a 90s movie. You would think so.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I have a great pop quiz question.
It better
for you guys.
be good.
It's pretty good. You're gonna hate it because it's kind of a list.
Oh, list? No fucking list.
All right. How many Steven Soderbergh movies has Matt Damon acted in?
Great question. I knew you had to. There's gonna be an Ocean's question in here somewhere.
I love the Ocean's trilogy. Anthony makes fun of me all the time for it. So I got it right there. Do 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 do. It's more than 3. I'll give you that hint.
Hey, I'm trying to think.
Well, I gotta keep the audio going for the
Okay, I'm gonna
listeners.
guess.
All right,
I'm
what
gonna
is it?
guess 7.
7,
Yeah.
George.
I'm gonna go 1 above 3, 4.
It is 7.
Oh
The films are
3 in a row.
The Ocean's trilogy, and then also The Informant he directed, Contagion, Behind the Candelabra, and also Matt Damon is in Unsane.
He has a cameo.
He has a cameo in that as a detective.
That's a great movie. He filmed it on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh man, 3 for 3.
Wow, this freaking kid
3
over
for
here.
3.
Yeah, he's making me. I look like a chump right now.
All right, wait till you see what happened in the movie trivia episode. Got stomped on. Ate me for breakfast.
Spoilers, man. Spoilers.
After this performance, I need to.
Oh yeah, it's on Thursday. It's coming out on Thursday, June 9th. This is coming out on June 6th. All right, moving on, Anthony. What's your pop quiz?
Okay. How many narrative films have Richard Linklater and Ethan Hawke made together? So a similar question to you, but with Ethan Hawke and Linklater. So 8 oh my god.
I'm gonna go with 8.
I'm also gonna say 8.
It's 8.
Do you want to? How about George asks his question? Maybe you can come up with one real quick.
Yeah,
or you just give it-
it's 8 films though. Even though I said it.
All right, George. What's your question?
All right, I have a little bit of an oldie going back to Tarantino's early days.
All right, what we got?
What is the real name of Uma Thurman's The Bride from Kill Bill?
Want to go?
Yeah, Beatrix Kiddo.
It's too easy for you guys. I really thought they was to stump you.
Please.
Come on, man.
Please.
I have to do better. I have to do way better.
It's all good, man. Hey, you're doing your best. I get it. You didn't want to offend us with any difficult questions. You want to get invited back. I get it.
I have a new question.
I can add to that question. What was her middle name?
Good question. There we go. That's the good one.
That's the good stuff.
There
man.
it is. There
That's
it
really
is.
like good stuff.
When is it said? It's got to be said in Kill Bill 2 with Bill probably.
Bill says it to her over the campfire, I believe.
Or at the end when he's talking about Superman.
I think he says it before he tells a story of the 5-point palm exploding heart technique. I do not remember.
Beatrix Danger Kiddo.
Or does he say he says it maybe in the opening scene of Kill Bill 2 outside the chapel?
I don't know. What it is.
What is it?
It is Michelle.
Oh,
Michelle.
all right. Nice.
Michelle.
I had no idea.
Rather simple middle name.
When's it said in the movies? I can't even think of it.
I think it might be said. It's either when he's talking to her outside the church in black and white, talking about her new last name. It might be that scene or the scene in the campfire.
Or it
he
could be
drops
the
her off.
Superman convo.
Yeah, or the Superman.
All right. Great second question.
Great
All
job.
right, good follow up to my easy first question.
And I have a new question that I'm not going to spoil the answer to. How many Oscar nominations did Robin Williams receive? And if you can, name the movies. But first, I want a number.
I'm going to say 3 nominations.
I am also going to say 3 nominations.
It is 4. Good Will Hunting, which he won for Good Will Hunting, then The Fisher King, Dead Poet Society, and Good Morning Vietnam.
I figured that was on there. Good question. All right. Is that it for our questions? Anthony, who we got for Hater of the Week? We got anyone fun?
I didn't find any unsubscribers.
No unsubscribers?
Wait, no, I might have one.
You gotta have
Hold on,
an
I have a ton of
unsubscriber.
screenshots
You
of
do
my phone
hater?
today.
Yeah, we do Haters of the Week.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so much fun.
Because sometimes they're pretty toxic, but for the most part, we have many of our fans, they have this running joke of just saying unsubscribed in our comments, which is really funny. It's just so much fun.
But all the time, other people don't know the inside joke. They're like, "Why are you gonna unsubscribe? These guys are great." They're like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm kidding."
It's just they just want to be hater of the week. No, I couldn't find any today.
All right. Well, anyways,
My bad.
what about who's our Godfather patron?
Oh, we have a special Godfather
Shout
patron
out.
today. Kevin over at Fourth Room Entertainment has recently signed up for our Godfather tier.
Kevin, you're a Godfather patron.
We made you an offer you couldn't refuse.
The day of our daughter's wedding.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and check out Fourth Room Entertainment. Kevin, you've been a fan of the show for a while. We appreciate your support. Patreon keeps the lights on for the show, allows us to do this full time, and you have access to all sorts of things like our Discord.
So fun.
Watch parties. You're involved in all of our group chats. We really appreciate you. And for Kevin's movie review, he selected The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh, nice. Great pick.
Yeah, a very underrated Ben Stiller movie. I think
like
it's
that.
really great.
Good pick.
So can't wait to review that for you, pal. Thank you once again, and thank you to all of our patrons. You're all the best.
You're amazing. All right. On this day in film history, today is June 6th. In 1983, Octopussy was premiered in London, the 13th James Bond film starring Roger Moore. In 1997, Con Air was released. In 2002, coming full circle, The Bourne Identity premiered in Los Angeles. In 2003, Too Fast, Too Furious,
Too Fast for Yo
was released. In 2008, Kung Fu Panda and Don't Mess with the Zohan were released. In 2014, The Fault in Our Stars was released. And Happy Birthday to Robert Englund, Jason Isaacs, and Paul Giamatti.
Freddy Krueger's birthday.
Yes, sir. My streaming recommendation for this episode is We Are Marshall. It just got put on Netflix for June. Very solid football movie and emotional true story.
I recommend Lights Out on Hulu. It's a fun horror film with a really unique concept.
All right, everybody. Let's get back into our State of Cinema episode with our special guest, George Carmi.
How is the state of cinema?
Yeah, well, actually, also, George, let's plug your stuff. So you're on TikTok. Your account is called Movies and Stuff 14. I love how it's like an AOL Instant Messenger tag.
Yes.
It's so fun. So that's
if I knew I was gonna, gain traction and followers, I would have made it something way smaller, way less 2011 AIM username.
It proves that it doesn't matter what your name is. It's
Exactly.
the content that matters.
Yeah, because I remember I was like trying to find his name's George. What's his account? Movies and Stuff. All right. Okay.
Well, hold on. What was everyone's AIM chat name?
Jim Cricket 319.
Mine was Antoine Dev 2.
I believe mine was Motorcycle Man. if I remember correctly.
Like 13-year-old George Carmi.
I am a motorcycle man. Chicks dig motorcycles, right?
He's like playing Pokemon Yellow, like, I'm the motorcycle man. All right, motorcycle man.
That should be your TikTok name.
Yeah, motorcycle
I
man.
could change that.
All
See,
right.
the good thing about movies and stuff is my content is like 99% movies, but every so often I'll post like a gym Instagram or something that has nothing to do for movies, and my comments will blow up like, here's the stuff, here's the stuff we're looking for.
Finally some stuff.
Yeah, like, you know what? If you're looking for it, here it is. Here it is.
Speaking of gym stuff, from watching those, I've seen that you're also a fan of working out while listening to movie scores, which is what James and I love to do.
Oh, no way.
Movie scores, like, they pump me up. I'm always jacked out on Hans Zimmer more than anyone.
Oh,
the Bourne movies are
absolutely.
so much fun to listen to. We've been listening to scores for a very long time. The first movie that got me into movie scores was The Dark Knight. And in 2008, when I heard that score, I bought the double disc set, and then I started listening to all the Bourne movies by John Powell and a bunch of great dramatic films, and those really got me into film scores, and it led into me right now to this day what I listen to more than anything for music is movie scores, and especially at the gym.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, what are your favorite scores to listen to pump you up, bro?
There's a ton, but I mean, exactly what you said. The first movie score that kind of got me into actually respecting a movie score was Hans Zimmer's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nice. Great pick.
It's just a phenomenal movie score. And me and my girlfriend recently watched Curse of the Black Pearl and Dead Man's Chest, in honor of the Johnny Amber trials.
I noticed no Amber Heard movies on there.
Yeah, no Amber Heard movies. And,
You didn't watch Drive Angry?
But there's so many that I listen to. I mean, Hans Zimmer is atop my list between Man of Steel, The Dark Knight, Inception, and Interstellar. This man just does not miss. Junkie XL is another one that I absolutely love.
Mad Max is good. Yeah.
Fury Road.
Yeah.
I mean, Storm is coming off that soundtrack.
Brothers in Arms.
Yeah, I put those on whenever I go for a max or whenever I know I have a heavy lift on its way. But he also did the revamp of Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I've been listening to nonstop. And then Hans Zimmer also did Modern Warfare, which I find just fascinating because I was never a big video game guy. And I promise you, I listen to that score once a week.
It's
it is
so
one
good.
of my favorites. Same with Assassin's Creed 3, Lauren Balfe.
Oh yeah,
score.
Lauren Balfe is the
Lauren
best.
Balfe's awesome.
He did
It's
he did the new
fantastic.
Mission Impossible one. You would love it. It's so good.
I've listened to the score, but I haven't watched the movie.
Yeah. But you know what? If I don't really live to max out anymore, but when I used to, I would put on "What Are You Gonna Do When You're Done Saving the World" from Man of Steel, and I would fast forward to like 2 minutes right before the theme kicks into high gear, and that's what would like get me going.
Pretend like you're Kal-El.
Yeah, exactly.
I do the same thing with Flight.
Flight.
Same thing.
Yeah.
My Spotify Wrapped for 2021, my most played song was from Man of Steel. It was the Hans Zimmer Man of Steel sketchbook track. It's like 24 minutes. It has every thematic element of the movie, like in just like this one giant track. He does that in a lot of his movies. He's got that for like Doom, for Amazing Spider-Man 2. He has one of those too. So he's got these really cool, he'll call them suites as well. And that was my most played song on Spotify Wrapped. And it's 24 minutes and I played it like 180 times.
And also, Imagine the Fire. Imagine the Fire from The Dark Knight Rises is another great one to get me going. Gotham's Reckoning.
I mean, and also Tenet. Well, that's Ludwig. I'm sorry, but Tenet is just another great score for. I think working out like Posterity is a great long.
that's a
like
good
I
one.
like long, high energy tracks for working out. Posterity on that, and then Tangiers by John Powell.
Tangiers, I've been all over this year.
There's some Howard Shore songs from the Lord of the Rings trilogy that are really great to work out too. Like Fields of Pelennor is epic, but there's so much. I have a whole workout playlist. Of just
mine's
movie
called
scores.
Super Awesome Workout Mix.
Yeah,
My
So you know it's good.
X Gym.
That way you know it's super
Movies
awesome.
X Gym. I like it.
Movies X Gym. It's not movies and stuff. X Gym.
No, just Movies X Gym. People keep commenting on my gym videos that I should change my name to Movies and Buff 14. But Daft Punk's Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't care what anyone says about the movie. I understand it's not that fantastic of a movie, but that score, I mean, their techno vibes mixed with this dramatic science fiction elements is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. And then obviously John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra, Revenge of the Sith is my standout there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a ton. My shuffle is out of control when I'm at the gym with these movie scores.
Hans Zimmer actually helped Daft Punk out when they were making that. Joseph Trapanese was the composer who really brought the compositional knowledge for the orchestra combined with their technicality. But Hans Zimmer gave them a lot of advice for how to score a movie because they went to him right away because they are all friends.
Yeah, I love when musicians do movie scores. Like, obviously, Johnny Greenwood working with Paul Thomas Anderson so much, and most recently with Jane Campion on The Power of the Dog, but also, you know, someone like Arcade Fire doing Her. That's an amazing soundtrack, and I like when filmmakers experiment with working with untraditional film composers and work with, like, a musician or an artist like
Marcus
that.
Mumford just did that soccer coach show. What's it called?
Freaking
With
Barry. No.
with Sudeikis.
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis.
What's it called?
Ted Lasso.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ted Lasso.
so Marcus Mumford did that entire score.
Yeah, they're buds, right?
Yeah.
Because they did that SNL sketch.
Yeah. No, they did the music video.
Oh, the movie.
All the comedians did.
Yeah,
They
it's
did the Mumford and Sons
him
music
and Ed
video.
Helms and some
Yeah.
other people. That's right.
Yeah, Jason Bateman.
Classic. But I've been listening to, like, in terms of movie scores, just obviously Hans, but like Dune, I've been listening to nonstop for like 5 months ever since I saw the movie. Gladiator's back on my most played because that's also epic to listen to at the gym, like the battle and stuff like that. But I mean, movie scores.
him.
Movie scores are life, man. And
You know what I've been into right now recently? Because I played it in the car the other day. The Mask of Zorro by James Horner.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so good. It's so good. And then the Batman has been
James
top
Horner is
played.
very
Yeah.
underrated because also Braveheart's really good as well.
Oh yeah, it's great. He's an excellent composer.
All right, a couple more topics. Let's go over. First of all, the Nicole Kidman AMC commercial that plays before the film
Jesus.
it has just been approved to go for the rest of the year of 2022, running in theaters. What do you guys think about her ad and the ad they do before the movie
Well, I'm
plays?
glad they trimmed it down to a minute. It was like 2.5 minutes when it first started.
It was way too long.
And when
So
you and I
long.
love AMC, but like they play 10 trailers. I'm not kidding. They played 10 trailers, then all the ads for themselves, and then the Nicole Kidman ad, and it's like 30 minutes, and the movie's about to start, and I've been sitting here watching stuff for almost an hour, and I'm like, Can we just watch the movie, please?
No, I get it.
Watch the movie.
I'm glad they trimmed it up because it did used to be too long. She like even was like walking down the hallway. She went to the bathroom, washed her hands and everything. So it was way too long. But like as soon as like that, she steps on the puddle with her high heels and the music goes. It's been fun because every theater I've been to, I think in the last like 6 months, now it just turns into a raucous round of applause and everyone's like, woo! Yeah. Like I went to see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent recently, and the movie is pretty good. It's pretty funny, but it's not perfect, you know. But I went with it was a great crowd, great audience. It was a packed theater, and before the movie started, there's like obviously the 37 trailers that AMC shows for movies that are coming out in 2030, and so we watched the Top Gun trailer, and then I go like woo, and then all the guys in the cinema are like yeah, let's go, woo! And then so like we were doing that for every trailer, even the Downton Abbey one came on, and all the guys were like woo, Downton Abbey, and then obviously the Men trailer played, and all the guys are just like dead silent. And then someone goes, fucking Men. Wicked funny. And then it's the AMC random commercial, and then she steps on the puddle, and everyone's like, woo, Nicole Kidman. So it's kind of like a cultural thing now, like a pop culture thing. Then Nicole Kidman, I've seen TikToks of it. Like this guy went to Coachella and he recited the entire thing while he was there. It's super funny now. I think it's kind of fun now.
Yeah, I just think they're playing too many trailers.
Yeah, the trailers are too much.
It's like I counted 10 last time, like 10 movie trailers before the movie
like 35
played.
minutes.
It's like I'm gonna go see these movies, guys. So it's okay.
What do you think, George? You like the AMC commercial?
Listen, they play way too many trailers. And the infuriating part about the Nicole Kidman trailer is this trailer is basically trying to get you to go to a movie. And it's like,
you're already there.
I'm here. I'm at this movie.
That's a good point.
We know the movies are back. We're in the movies.
Yeah.
It's like what? Yeah.
I watch TV when I'm home. I see these trailers. You don't have to keep convincing me to come to these movies. You know, I'm gonna be at the theater. Don't trust me, Nicole. I will be at the theater. And it's also like she's dressed to the nine to see this movie. I'm watching this trailer wearing like sweatpants, socks and sandals, and a ripped sweatshirt.
All about comfort.
And you want me to believe that Nicole Kidman is going to watch Jurassic World wearing a pantsuit
at AMC,
wearing a Met Gala outfit,
not in her private cinema,
as if she doesn't have like a movie theater in her basement with like 24 seats, IMAX theater. It's a fun. But
that's a great point. It's like if you went to McDonald's and you're like eating a Big Mac and there's a commercial.
McDonald's is
like it's like go to McDonald's and eat McDonald's and you're like stuffing your face with fries. It's like I'm already doing that. Oh, maybe I should go to McDonald's after this.
I'm aware that McDonald's exists.
That's pretty silly.
Should we stop the podcast right now so you guys could plug your own podcast?
Make sure to listen to Raiders of the Lost podcast.
Nicole Kidman wants to tell you to listen to Raiders of the Lost podcast.
We make podcasts better. Oh my gosh! All right, Nicole Kidman's a goat. Let's go.
Gosh.
All right, next topic. House of the Dragon and The Rings of Power are both coming out this year. They'll be on at the same time around this. They're coming out a couple weeks apart. Which show do you think is going to be better, gentlemen?
It looks like House of the Dragon has great production, cinematography, an amazing cast. I think it looks excellent. Rings of Power, I wasn't sold on the trailer. It looks very much like a video game, very heavy CGI. It didn't feel right. It just looked like I was watching a video game. You know, like those little movie bits they put in video games? I felt like I was watching that half the time. Whereas Rings of Power looks like a lot of practical sets, gigantic production, and I love the blonde dreads on one of the Targaryens. He's got this set of blonde dreads. I was like, that looks so cool, badass. I love Game of Thrones, and they blew me away. I'm looking forward to seeing Matt Smith as this Targaryen lead, and it's just I can't wait for it. What about you, George?
Yeah, 100% with you. The House of Dragon trailer, it blew me away, and there's still a little bit of hesitancy because of what Game of Thrones gave us in season 7 and season 8. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a massive hater of those two seasons.
I liked it.
They were teasing that the entire show.
It was all gonna. You saw it in the first season,
But are you one of those people that's like, I'm not gonna watch it because of what they did to me?
But clearly, they're not going to do the same thing. They're gonna, because it got so much hate, they're gonna avoid that.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna happen again.
I'm throwing away season 8. It's in the past. I am starting fresh. I love the trailer to House of Dragons. I loved what I saw. I love that it has source material. It's not just this brand new story that's being, pulled out of these writers' behinds. It's George R. R. Martin's Fire and Blood. That is where I think it has an advantage over the Rings of Power. The Rings of Power, there's no source material, basically.
Yeah. It's loosely based off that early book.
Some notes.
In that early book.
Yeah, a piece of paper of writing, basically.
That's it,
as much as I love Lord of the Rings, I say time and time again, I think that's the best trilogy ever made.
Yeah, facts.
I did not love the trailer to Rings of Power. Obviously, it was such a small little teaser. It wasn't this massive trailer we got for House of Dragon. But House of Dragon, I'm more excited for. But you're asking me to pick between apples and oranges. I am so excited for the two of them.
Yeah, we're very excited for them both. I'm still remaining optimistic for the Rings of Power because I'm just going to go of the opinion that it's not finished. The CGI is not done because the CGI for me with the trailer is what I saw and I'm like, that's the CGI for this billion-dollar TV show. It looks like the CGI from Return of the King in the first film, in the first trilogy in general. So I'm like, it's 2022, and that's what they're putting out. So hopefully the animation's just not done yet, maybe. Hopefully, because that was just like a little off-putting for me. I'm going to remain optimistic for it. Hopefully they can pull it off. But for me right now, after seeing the latest official teaser from HBO for House of Dragon, that trailer blew my hair back. It looked sick. We finally get we're going to have dragons from the start, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Targaryens are on the Iron Throne. I can't wait to see the political power. I can't wait to see which characters are going to get killed off. I have a newfound interest in this from after seeing the trailer because I was never the biggest Game of Thrones fan. Anthony got me into it, and
day one, bro.
Anthony's a diehard. Anthony read the books before he saw the show.
I didn't want to say that.
He'd always be like, bro, just wait until what's gonna happen. You have no idea. Just wait until the Red Wedding, man. I'm like, what is the Red Wedding? He's like, just wait.
No, I never
You're
said
right.
I never said Red Wedding. I just said wait for season 2.
You were like something crazy.
I recorded you and Dad's reaction to watching the Red Wedding.
That's right.
As it happened live
at his old
It
house.
was great.
And so I'm just very excited. I think after watching that trailer, the casting, production value, wardrobe, production design,
The
everything,
CGI looks amazing.
The practical effects and practical props, everything looks amazing. But like George said, we've hardly seen anything from the Rings of Power so far. That was a very quick trailer, but right now I'm giving the edge to the House of the Dragon.
Wow, clean sweep by Warner Brothers. So that actually leads into an interesting topic: is the corporate takeover of the film industry by studios and companies like Amazon buying, for example, MGM, buying the rights to Lord of the Rings, overseeing the production of these beloved franchises. They're going to be overseeing James Bond. They're probably going to be turning out James Bond TV shows on Amazon Prime, as well as, their entire libraries for MGM, which has one of the biggest libraries of film and television content of all time. They now control all of that, and also Disney, buying Pixar, Marvel, 20th Century Fox, Star Wars, plus many other companies. The corporatization of the film industry is bigger than it has ever been, and for one, I'm not a fan of just one or two or three companies producing all of the films that we're watching. I think that's kind of worrying. I think that films would work better if, for competition-based purposes, movie studios competed against each other. They were trying to make better movies than the other studios because they wanted to win the Oscar. They wanted to have the box office. So there was a high amount of competition among the major movie studios. But now that most of the studios are owned by just a couple of companies, that might change in terms of the quality of content we're going to be seeing.
That's a really good point, the competition. I never really thought of, because you bring up the anecdote a few times about how Quentin Tarantino wrote what he thought was his final draft for Inglourious Bastards, and then he saw There Will Be Blood from his friend Paul Thomas Anderson's film, and then he's like, wow, he made that. Now I have to rework the script and make it a much better movie, because if he's making a masterpiece like that at this point in his career, I have to I have to be a better filmmaker and writer too. But now, since like all these studios own so many properties, like Disney probably doesn't really care. Like Marvel doesn't have to compete with Star Wars anymore. Pixar doesn't have to compete with the studio anymore.
Disney and Fox don't have to compete anymore.
Yeah.
They're owned by Disney.
So it's a little worrying. I feel like it was inevitable at some point in a corporate world that we're living in the Western culture, Western civilization. It seemed like it was inevitable because you just watched how it happened in the real world with Walmart, with Starbucks, with corporate takeover of every industry. It was only a matter of time, really, for it to happen to film and entertainment.
And we never really think about how much smaller movie studios are than major, huge corporations. Like, yeah, Fox has always been a big company. Warner Brothers is a big company, but they're nothing compared to the companies that now own them. So they're always like small fish in the giant ocean of the corporate world. So that's why you're right. It was inevitable that major corporations that could afford to buy them just as like this is pocket change for us would eventually happen.
What do you think, George?
Yeah, completely off of your points. I think there's just too few large corporations holding on to way too many products. I think we're going to see way too many large blockbusters. Obviously, that's going to rake in the cash for these companies, and that's all they care about. But from an audience standpoint, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of saturated projects, a lot of watered down, CGI heavy projects that don't care about, an unnecessary story development, character development, the way an A24 Everything Everywhere All at Once does. And I think I don't want to say it's going to hurt the film industry. These movies are going to get audiences to the theaters. Obviously, you have this massive blockbuster film. I'm going to go to the theater as well, but it's going to be a lot of saturated products, and I'm not necessarily excited to see that happen.
Yeah, exactly. Will A24 survive in 10 years? Will movies like Everything Everywhere at Once come out ever again in theaters, or will that only be streaming?
Well, there's actually been some pretty substantial rumors that Apple might purchase A24.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's a problem, I think.
Yeah.
I think A24 is a great studio, but again,
the people who started that studio, they're being offered $2 billion. And are they going to say no to $2 billion? Because like they spent the last 10 years making an amazing catalog of films and putting them out there and just cutting through the scraps and just like clawing their way to compete against the big studios. How could you turn down $1 billion from your initial investment of like maybe 20 million in 10 years of your life? I mean, that's a hard offer to say no to.
Especially their biggest budget movies they've made are probably it's The Green Knight and then Everything Everywhere All at Once. Those are the two biggest productions they've done. And The Green Knight, did that even break 20 million? And that was one of my favorite movies last year. So can a studio like that survive? No, they can't survive off that long term. Even though they've had some small movies that have been very successful, like Hereditary was very successful, box office stuff like that. But still, like movie studios, they love making movies, but the whole point of it is they started a business. They're trying to make money so that they can keep making movies. And at some point, that money runs out if people don't go see these great movies. Like The Northman made a fraction of its budget. And that wasn't A24. So a lot of people,
That was Universal.
I know people think it was A24 movie just because it was Robert Eggers, but A24 was not involved in that production.
And actually, I'm sorry, there's sad news. Universal distributed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, his Focus Features made it.
Focus produced it. The failure of The Northman shut down the production of Nosferatu.
Yeah, so Robert Eggers won't get to make that.
Yeah.
And like if he made that movie with A24, that might have upended the studio and they would maybe have to take that deal with Apple. So it's a bit disheartening to see that people aren't going to see these movies that are great, they're original, great storytellers. And I mean, we've talked about before, on average, the average person goes to the theaters like 3 to 5 times a year. We go to the theaters like 50 times a year. It's different for us. But the average person in America or in the United States or Western cultures, that's all they go to. They're probably going to go see Star Wars, Marvel movies.
Yeah, I also think that social media is playing a big part in what people are even being exposed to, because we all know that your social media is tailored to you, things that you like, and you're put into this bubble of the things based upon the history of what you've been clicking on, watching, liking photos and videos. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they make content that suits that. And so I think that especially for young people, like say like there's a young person, like a 14-year-old, and they love Spider-Man and they love No Way Home and they love Into the Spider-Verse, but they also love film. But when they go on Instagram, because they love Spider-Man and those actors so much, when you go on the Discover page, what do you see? It's all Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, Marvel. And so the algorithm is working, putting them into a bubble of the things that they like more than anything. But so they're not really even being exposed to films that they might love, but don't even see the trailers for. They don't even see, photos behind the scenes of when they go on social media. There's plenty of movies where I'll post a clip on TikTok about a smaller film, and people will be like, I didn't even know this movie came out. And I'll be like, I mean, it's not your fault. It's basically the algorithm is preventing the exposure of these movies to people who are watching other things, and they won't even know this movie existed.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the most popular creators are mostly talking about the Marvel movies, DC movies, superhero movies, Star Wars movies. So I think that definitely is a problem that I didn't even really think about that.
Yeah, so it's more the algorithm just like putting you in a bubble of like the most popular things. It's not even the audience's fault, because many people maybe aren't even being exposed to the marketing of the smaller films.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, George?
TikTok, I think, is kind of blinding audiences to these fantastic movies that are coming out. And I'm a massive A24 guy. Moonlight, Hereditary, Uncut Gems, The Florida Project. These are some of my favorite movies of all time. And there's a lot of these massive TikTokers, these film influencers who are strictly comic talkers. And that's not to say that's a bad thing.
Totally fine. Yeah,
it's totally fine. But, they have hundreds of thousands of followers. I try myself, shameless self-plug. I love to promote these smaller budget movies. I think I do a really good job at doing that. But just like you said, I posted my review a while back to After Yang, Colin Farrell's A24 film. My comments just completely straight. What is this movie? Why didn't I hear about this movie? Who is that? And my response would be, that's the Penguin, just so you know.
It's Oz.
I'm like, he's a very good actor. You should watch his stuff. But to your point, it's completely social media dependent, and it's a shame to see. I love what Straw Hat Goofy is doing. He's a very big comic talker, but he's also promoting these small budget films that deserve promotion. They deserve our attention. They're fantastic films. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I am genuinely surprised that it kind of blew up the way it did. I think it's incredibly high rating on Letterboxd helped. I think a lot of people were talking about it, but that's the first movie A24 wise that I can remember, maybe outside of Uncut Gems or Moonlight, that's really had a blow up that way. And as someone that loves A24, I'm going to do as much as possible on my TikTok page to promote all of these films.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it still wasn't enough money to make it a profitable and successful film, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's why our show, more than anything, we're geared towards film as a whole. Like, we make TikTok clips about any kind of movie from any era, and we want to post everything. And it doesn't just want to be narrowed down to one genre. So we want to try and spread the knowledge of, the history of film as well as lesser known films and smaller films that come out each year,
and international film for sure, which I think it's finally getting recognized, with Parasite winning all those Oscars, Bong Joon-ho winning so many, and now people are on the radar, especially of South Korean cinema, which is great. We've been talking about South Korean cinema
is probably the best right now.
Old Boys are one of my all-time favorite movies, but we've been big on South Korean cinema for decades, and now it's getting into people's limelight and they're getting attention on it, but it's just like, it's great for South Korean cinema, but what about Italian cinema? What about French cinema? Now I hope people go from South Korea to now, what about these other countries? What's their cinema like? Because there's so much great content out there, so many great movies, so many great filmmakers to explore outside of just American and English and UK, Australian filmmakers.
Oh yeah, there's so many. And I love South Korean cinema, like The Wailing, I Saw the Devil, Memories of Murder, all Bong Joon-ho's movies.
Park
Chan-wook's movies, The Handmaiden, which he just came out with recently. And there's, like you said, there's so many great international films. Everyone roasts me for always watching movies with subtitles, and I do that because there's still so many I haven't seen, and there are so many stories that have been told but aren't really getting watched by many eyes. And I love, and in other countries, filmmakers and artists actually have a lot more freedom than filmmakers do in America in terms of the Hollywood studio system kind of controlling, producers being controlling about what kind of films are being made, what exactly is being in the film. So I've found from international films to be much more artistic and free to do anything in terms of the content and the what's being portrayed in the stories, and I like that freedom that the artists have in other countries.
Yeah, I just hope people just get out of their comfort zone in terms of like the kind of movies they're watching. It's great if you just want to watch superhero stuff. Hey, it's your life.
We love superhero
Yeah,
movies.
we love
You all
superhero.
know
We
that.
we did an episode of Doctor Strange. We
just
covered
love- yeah.
we covered it all, but
we love all movies.
We're trying to
Yeah.
we want to help keep film alive, and not just new films and independent films, but also cinema from the past. That's why we cover old movies as well. But I think it's really important to always just talk about all film in general. And it's great that some of these really popular creators, they are making content geared towards these smaller budget films, which is really important, I think. Especially you, George.
Yeah, just to your point on Parasite, obviously as fantastic as a film it won Best Picture. Bong Joon-ho kind of blew up. The one thing that makes me as happy as possible around Parasite is that kind of opened the door for a lot of people to explore these foreign language films and not just ignore them because you have to read subtitles. In my top 20 of the year that I posted last year, I had Drive My Car, I have Kurvari Saira, I had Night of the Kings. Can't even tell you how many people DM'd me on Instagram like, hey, thank you very much for these recommendations. I would have never known about these without this ranking. And it's led me to explore way more foreign language films. And I think Parasite is a huge thing we can thank for that. I don't know if Parasite not winning Best Picture, we would have seen this massive boom in foreign language stuff. Even Squid Games, would people have watched Squid Games if it wasn't for Parasite?
Sure.
Something like that.
And the thing
it was also a box office hit in America. It made over $100 million.
And the thing is, Bong Joon-ho made great movies before Parasite, too. I mean, Snowpiercer is
Fantastic
awesome.
movie.
Memories
Box
of
office
Murder,
bomb.
awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, he's this new director for Hollywood audiences and American audiences, but we were like, we've been watching him for years.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah, the first Bong Joon-ho movie I watched was The Host, and that was, I think, 2006.
Yeah, The Host is great.
When I was getting into international film, and that movie was like, this is amazing. Then I watched most of his filmography. So when Parasite came out, I was already hotly anticipating it because I love the director so much. And I mean, I said, like you said, masterpiece gets thrown out too much nowadays. Like just this year, like there have been several movies that people are calling a masterpiece, and I'm like, to this day in this century, I think there are still like really only a handful of masterpieces that have been made in the last 22 years.
Like what?
Parasite, I think, is the last real masterpiece, true masterpiece.
Social Network.
Social Network's up there. There'll Be Blood.
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm Inglourious Bastards.
I put that in masterpiece.
I'd put those as masterpieces.
What about Gladiator?
Well, it's 2000.
Century.
Yeah, okay. I'll put Gladiator up there.
That's biased though,
No,
maybe.
that's because
it might not be a masterpiece, but we just love that movie.
I wouldn't call it a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I love it, but those are like, that's what you call a masterpiece. But I've already seen several films just in the last 2 years, like when it's masterpiece, and it's like, that's just me. I mean,
I agree. I don't even think there's been a masterpiece this year yet. Probably, I think my favorite, my rankings this year so far, it's like The Batman, The Northman, and then probably Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's my top 3 of the year. None of them are masterpieces.
But I'm saying in the last 3 years, I haven't seen anything come even close to Parasite.
No, you're
not
right.
even close.
You're right, because that was 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta think back. Like, what came out last year? What were the best movies that came out last year?
Coda, Last Duel.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Dune came out.
Dune is pretty.
I
good.
love Dune.
Yeah, but
it's
not
a masterful film.
Yeah.
But you can't. I don't think you can call Dune a masterpiece because it's not a complete. It's not a complete story.
Yeah, not finished.
It's halfway through, so it doesn't have the right conclusion.
I gotta turn up. Paul Atreides, cover your ears.
Our fans are like, I can't believe this is being said on this show. But I just think it's not a complete story. You can't call it a complete masterpiece.
That's true.
But I just think Parasite, like, absolutely undeniable. It's one of the greatest films ever made.
Oh, for sure. Top 100 all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. It's a very important word, though. It shouldn't be thrown around loosely.
Yeah.
But I think we're living in a great state of genres, specifically for sci-fi and horror. We talked a little bit about horror and the boom, but sci-fi right now is really exceptional, and we're getting all sorts of stories told. With Denis Villeneuve with Blade Runner 2049 and Dune,
Alex Garland
making movies that people thought were impossible to make with those two, especially a sequel to the masterpiece of Blade Runner. Alex Garland's movies, Ex Machina is great. Annihilation's really good. Looking forward to see Men when that comes out this month, right? I mean, in May.
You mean fucking men?
But the state of sci-fi is exceptional. But I would say right now the most hurt genre in film is probably comedy. I can't really think of like
comedy's thriving on streaming.
on streaming.
Yeah.
So,
No, the genre that's taken the biggest hit over the last several years is the medium budget drama, either period piece or just a straight up contemporary drama. Movies that would be a movie that would be made for $30 to $40 million used to be like an Oscar contender, used to perform moderately well. It wasn't a big hit, but it would make $100 million. It would make its money back. These movies used to get made all the time, but now that has disappeared. So now
it's not completely disappeared because I mean, The Power of the Dog is that, but it was a streaming release.
Yeah, but it's not a $30 million budget.
What was that, like
10, 15 maybe tops?
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. That genre has moved into indie film. We call that an independent film made for a very small amount of money. It's movies are either that or big budget. Whereas it used to be very common for films in the $30 to $40 million range to get made by studios. Those were made often, and they weren't huge hits, but they were making profits for the studios. Those have basically disappeared. So with dramatic films, those are generally going to be much smaller budgets nowadays. So that genre has taken the biggest hit at the box office.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Because I mean, no one saw Last Duel, and that movie.
No one
was
saw
great.
That was actually a big budget.
90 million.
But that's different. It's a Ridley Scott movie, so it's not quite the same. But movies in that, like medium budget movies, rated R dramatic films, those are taking the biggest hit.
Yeah, but I'm just so happy that sci-fi is doing so well. Even just the space genre is just killing it. Like Ad Astra, I think, is one of the most underrated movies in the genre recently. The Martian is exceptional. Obviously, Interstellar is a goated movie, but like we're killing it in science fiction right now. I'm so happy about it.
Destroying
science fiction.
Yeah, science fiction. The golden age of science fiction was the 2010s. I mean, you threw around the word masterpiece to, I think, too few movies in the 2010s. I'd add Masterpiece to like Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, Mad Max Fury Road. I think those are all timers.
I like Blade Runner. I like Blade Runner better than Dune. I'm putting that over Dune.
Yeah, so am I.
It's your life, guys. You live your life.
So am I.
It's really great. I love it.
I think if we're talking, states of cinema, I think the genre that is in the best condition right now is the horror genre, which jumps right back to our previous conversation of, the young upcoming directors between Eggers, Astor, Peele, Krasinski, even Olivia Wilde with Don't Worry, Darling. We are in fantastic hands. I mean, even this year we have X. Men is coming out.
X was awesome.
X was fantastic. I was so happy to see. Yeah, he was fantastic. Seeing A24 kind of move away from their typical, psychological horror, their typical visual
nuance
pleasing horror into slasher horror was fantastic. I don't think it was a top tier A24 film, but for what it was, I thought it was fantastic. And they even have Men coming out. Bodies. Is Disappointment Boulevard an A24
later
film?
This year?
Yeah, it is A24. But still, I think we are in fantastic hands in the horror genre. Even last year, I think Last Night in Soho, I know that movie gets, a little destroyed by the critics and audience members. I thought it was fantastic. Detain, Freaky, Run, the horror genre is in a fantastic state. And I think comedy is where we're lacking. And I know you bring up streaming, and I agree with that. But when you look at comedy from 2010 till today compared to the 2000s, comedy in the 2000s, that was the golden age of comedy. You have The Hangover, Borat, Juno, Superbad, Bad Santa, In Bruges, Anchorman, Tropic Thunder. I mean, this list can go on, and I don't think we've seen that quality of comedy throughout the 2010s, and certainly not into the 2020s. I mean, we've had some decent comedy movies this decade, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Bo Burnham's Inside, Mitchell's vs. the Machines, and even Palm Springs, we'll call it comedy. But compared to what we saw in what I consider the golden age of comedy in the 2000s, I don't think comedy has been the same.
That's because of the cultural change of what's accepted humor. I think more than audiences being interested in comedy or quality of comedy, the quality of comedy has changed because comedy has changed, and so many of those movies can't get made nowadays.
And also those are multi-genre movies. I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That I wouldn't even classify that as a comedy, but it has comedic elements to it. It's really funny. Mitchell's vs. the Machines. That's an animated film.
You have a great point about Marvel.
Yeah. So now comedies are really Marvel movies are the comedies. Those are the funny movies, And then most recently, the only like great comedy I can really think of that is just a straight up comedy is like Game Night.
That's still an old movie, though.
That's like, what, 2016?
Yeah, 6 years old.
Something like that. But that's like a great original comedy that's very funny. and that used to be the norm, going to see these great movies coming out as a comedy, but it's been so long.
I think it's become a lot harder for comedy writers to really push the boundaries of comedy because it's less accepted to have that freewheeling comedic, like let's try to offend people. I think that it's comedians and comedic writers have to really walk on eggshells nowadays. And I think that less things are getting approved in terms of comedic ideas and jokes and concepts. And so I think comedy has become watered down because I watch plenty of things on streaming, like comedic stuff, and I find very little of it like hilarious. Like you said, in the 2000s, we were getting
gut-busting.
Great comedic films. And that, like you said, has really disappeared. And I think it's because the culture and the opinion of comedy has changed.
And you could also say that there aren't like those great comedic stars anymore that are leading movies. Like Will Ferrell, he's been doing it since the 2000s. So like, and there's always, every decade has these great comedians, and like Steve Carell, but he doesn't really do comedies that much anymore. He's more drama now, which is great because he's such a talented guy. But he did plenty of great comedies, like Knocked Up. I mean, on like 40-Year-Old Virgin, and so those movies are really great. But like, who's like the current like great comedy icon in film right now that's young and upcoming? I can't really think of like a great big star that has that status that like Will Ferrell.
No Jim Carrey.
No Eddie Murphy right now. No Jim Carrey. No Will Ferrell. No Steve Martin. All these icons. No Richard Pryor that are making great movies.
It seems like people like who like they're just strictly stand-up comedians nowadays, where it used to be like stand-ups used to become the comedy stars. Like Jim Carrey started as stand-up. Eddie Murphy started as stand-up, but I don't see many stand-ups becoming like comedy stars. Yes, they're acting in movies and stuff, but they're not becoming like the new comedic actor of the moment.
Like, I'm not going to see the new Will Ferrell movie, not going to see the new Jim Carrey movie, new Eddie Murphy
that doesn't
movie.
really exist at this point.
I feel like I can't think of anyone up and coming that's young and like that. You're right. I felt like Donald Glover might have done that, but he's taken such a dramatic route with his career, which I really like because he's super talented. But he seemed like maybe he could have done that because his stand-up was so great and he was young, and Atlanta was really good. But I really like his approach to his career so far with the music and films that he chose.
Yeah, he's just all-encompassing talent. So comedy isn't just his only thing.
Yeah,
obviously Jim Carrey is a great actor, but Will Ferrell is an example of it's comedy. He can do a couple of good roles like Stranger Than Fiction he's very good in, but mostly 95% of his career is comedic driven.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I think that doesn't exist. The big comedy star is gone, except for stand-ups.
They're still here,
yeah.
But like in terms of new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting.
Because like, who's the Italian comic?
Sebastian Maniscalco.
20 years ago, he'd be starring in movies left and right now, but now he's just still doing stand-up.
Well, he's not just doing stand-up; he's selling out.
I know, yeah. But like, he's a modern day Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
But he's not. He doesn't have a ton of movie roles. He was in Scorsese's
in The
Irishman, but that was a
dramatic role
because he's super Italian. He fit that role perfectly. You don't see Sebastian leading movies. So Tiffany Haddish is someone who you could say who's kind of there, but I wouldn't say she has the star power that someone like Jim Carrey had in the 90s.
Yeah.
So or Will Ferrell in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's been an odd decade for
It's
comedy.
hard for comedians, I think.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we haven't seen fantastic comedy movies, because we've still gotten the other guys. We've still gotten Grown Ups and Ted, and I don't know about you guys, but those make me laugh like crazy.
Yeah. Top of my head.
Thunder Buddies for life.
Yeah, 21 Jump Street. We also saw The Nice Guys and even Wolf of Wall Street. If they're not pure comedies, but we're still getting comedic aspects in movies, which are fantastic. But it's to your point. It's a lot of filmmakers they can't get away with the things they used to. Borat could never be made today.
The original
Tropic
one,
Thunder. Tropic Thunder could never be made today, and it's taking away from these classic gut-wrenching comedies that we used to get.
Yeah. All right, one more topic, and then we'll call this a wrap, guys, because we're like an hour and a half in. How do you feel about the soft reboot that's just been getting beaten with a dead horse with every studio and every property?
You mean a soft reboot with legacy characters?
Legacy characters, soft reboots, and reboots in general. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm not the biggest fan of them. I understand that they're necessary, but for example, I like to say that the most recent Star Wars sequel trilogy, I think it would have worked better if it was just a different story with new characters, like maybe set 100 years after the events of the films of the 70s and 80s, and then completely new cast of characters, with that being like history and lore for the characters, rather than bringing in the old characters, because all they did was disappoint fans with their new interpretations of each legacy character. I think that, and then to contrast that, Jurassic Park didn't feel like Jurassic Park without Sam Neill and Laura Dern. and
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. So it goes both ways, but I'm always a fan of, you have the property, maybe try and tell a new story with it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, George?
Yeah, could not agree with that. I am very, very critical on my TikTok about any reboot, soft, hard, and I favor soft reboots more so than hard reboots. I don't like just starting from scratch with the same characters and the same story. So I respect a good soft reboot, Mad Max Fury Road, Blade Runner 2049, even this year's Scream. I think these are good movies. But like you said, Star Wars, the sequel trilogy is the perfect example. I don't think they should have ever continued with the Skywalker saga. I think it should have been a brand new trilogy, brand new characters, brand new story outside of the Skywalker saga. So it's not saying that, we haven't, the soft reboots, they haven't failed us. We've had some fantastic movies come out, but we've also had some absolute stinkers. And it's more refreshing to see new content, especially when we have movies like a Malignant or a 9 Days. Like, these original scripts are out there. And clearly a soft reboot's a massive cash grab, no doubt about it. You soft reboot any franchise, I'm going to watch it. But there are original scripts floating around, and it would be nice for see these studios take those as opposed to just, rebooting old stories and characters and themes.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I think with movies like the Star Wars trilogy, the new one, and some other ones, and especially even with Star Trek, the soft reboots for them, I like the movies a lot, and they're a lot of fun. But it just feels like they take what was created in the past, these great stories, these great characters, these great character arcs and character transformations and ideas, and they all had great, intense thematic elements. The old Star Wars movies, they're dense, a lot of great themes. Even the old Star Trek shows and movies were like that too. But now it's just turned into just, they've taken that and just, it's been diluted down to just kind of like a skeleton of what it once was in a way.
But even telling the same story, like the Khan story again.
Still entertaining, still fun time, still like it, still do episodes on it, still important to make movies that people go see. Obviously, that's how these other small movies get made, because they're owned by the same companies. But then it's just like, now it's a skeleton of what it once was thematically, and the characters and the arcs, and they're redoing everything. And like Han Solo went through all this work to become a great character by the end of the original trilogy. Now he's just like a bumbling idiot again. It just doesn't make any sense. And then what's going to happen the third time they do the soft reboots in another 25 years? Then it's just going to be a shell of a skeleton. Like what's the next? It's just gonna be the bone marrow inside there that's left. Who knows?
I don't know if studios are afraid that the movies won't perform well, but I mean, I think that things like The Mandalorian prove that fans of Star Wars will show up to see a Star Wars movie, and it doesn't have to have the famous characters in it. I think that movie still would have made $1 billion if it didn't have Harrison Ford and didn't have Leia or Luke in it. So I mean, I just think that they should trust audiences more and be willing to we don't have to spoon feed them in order to sell them a product. We can try new things out, and I think that they'll still respond really well to it. I think Star Wars is probably the most valuable movie property except for Marvel. And so the new Boba Fett show, the new Mandalorian shows, and the upcoming Star Wars releases show that people crave that world. And it's okay to make new stories and new characters, or even draw from the TV series or the lore of the books, which they are with the series, and audiences will still enjoy it.
Yeah, the soft reboots are just everywhere. And then it's also the origin stories now, that everything has to have an origin story. It's driving me bananas.
Origins.
Everything's got to be an origin story. Just give me a fully fledged character.
Yeah, so for example, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Raiders of the Lost Ark is such a perfect example of how to do the first movie in a franchise, because when that movie starts, Indiana Jones is already Indiana Jones, and the first 15 minutes is like a first mission of his where we're shown everything we need to know about Indiana Jones. He goes through this adventure, he loses in the end, but we understand everything we need to know about the character, we understand his morality, and we love him already. And then the movie starts, but it's like an opening scene where that's not even an origin story. It's just to catch the audience up to who this character is. But now movies, they spend an hour and 40 minutes developing the origin, and then they're finally the character by the end of the movie. And it's beginning to be like, I don't want that approach anymore. I love the original approach of this character already exists. We don't need to set it up with a movie. Let's just get going with the first movie.
The Lara Croft new one would have been great if they did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with just this year, the Batman.
Yeah,
Everyone everyone knows Batman's origin story. They just like, don't waste our time with it. Like there was that big long intro, kind of like an origin story, but it was more of just like an introduction to this very well established character in this universe. And I love that they did that with Spider-Man.
Tom Holland's Spider-Man, great example. They didn't have to show the origin.
No, they didn't have to show the origin. We didn't need to see Uncle Ben being killed. We didn't need with great power comes great blah, blah, blah. We've seen it. We know it. We've seen it. Just jump into our story and don't waste our time. And that's what I loved about this new Batman.
Agree. And it's still early Batman.
And that's also what Tim Burton did as well. Yeah. He didn't do an origin story. There were flashbacks.
Although Batman Begins is one of the greatest origin stories of all time. That era, that's why everyone's doing it, because they're all trying to make the next Batman Begins. But I wish studios would realize, like, you don't have to make an origin story.
Morbius was an origin story.
You don't need it to set up a franchise. I know what they're doing. They're like, oh, we'll make an origin story. Then we'll make 2 more movies and then maybe a 4th. It's like, you don't need to do the origin story to set it up. You can make a great chapter of a film, of a story. Like, John Wick is not an origin story. He's just becoming John Wick again, and it's a great franchise.
Yeah, he's already John Wick when the movie starts. Yeah, exactly. He unleashes that beast within him.
If I see one more goddamn origin story,
like, we don't need to see how did John Wick become John Wick? How did he become an expert at martial arts and shooting guns? Where did this start?
We got that in movie 3.
Yeah.
That's where we learned about John Wick's past. It's great. Man, but anyways, all right.
We know that's gonna happen. A soft reboot of John Wick with an origin story for the first film
with shorter hair,
just starring Adam Driver.
Oh man! All right, I think that's a wrap on this episode, fellas. That was great.
That was a good one.
Yeah, great job, man.
Thanks for joining. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So follow, you want to plug your TikTok?
My nerves died down a little bit.
Yeah, we're pretty chill guys, man.
Today,
Everyone go check out George on TikTok. His account is called Movies and Stuff 14. That is not an AIM username. That is his TikTok username. He has lots of great content on there, lots of movie takes, hot takes.
Yeah.
He's over 150,000 followers. His account's been blowing up the last 6 months, so check him out. He's a lot of fun. He also posts workout videos if you want to check those for the stuff. Movies and Buff is coming soon. Thanks for joining, George. That was a lot of fun. Become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Take care, everyone. Goodbye, everyone.
This episode of Raiders of the Lost Podcast has been executive produced through Patreon thanks to Cody Moen, Calvin Cam, John A. Gratz, and Lawrence Smertz. Thank you to our producers.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.